Ladies and gentlemen, there's no better way to get up in the morning than to get up with Garret. Garret is a third generation success credentialed real estate entrepreneur here to give you tips, tricks, and share stories of success. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Garret Pedro.
Dougie, not bad for a guy that's not getting much sleep these days
Not
with
much
a new
sleep at
baby.
all. Not much
Yeah,
sleep
I think
at
you
all.
nailed that intro there.
Thank you.
Good for you, buddy. How we feeling? A little tired?
We are a little tired. Today was the first day that Adrian goes back to work. So
Wow.
the baby is now at Nona's house.
No. Okay.
Yes.
And did the baby DoorDash any milk or anything today? Or
No.
now that Adrian's back to work,
Yeah, she just got a bag of goodies, and hopefully everyone's doing all right.
Wow. Well, thanks for spending your morning with us today and getting up with Garret. It's beautiful. It's sunny. We feel good. We're excited. It's just about the Memorial Day weekend,
Yeah.
holiday weekend. Everyone's thrilled to be taking some time off and enjoying themselves, maybe throw another shrimp on the barbie, as they say. And we're excited to have you join us today. So exciting news. The Hedges property we've been talking about for 2 years. We're just about at that finish line.
Nice.
We actually have residents ready to move in June 1st.
Wow.
I don't know when June 1st is. I know it's probably this week, next week.
It's coming up fast.
We're kind of in that, it's crazy time. But yeah, we're actually 20% pre-leased. And again, we haven't even opened yet. And so we're just feeling thrilled about that. We think that will be finished with the project in terms of leasing by the fall, and just big shout out to our team from Lincoln Management, and Lucy and Adrian are doing a great job in the office, and tons of support from all our consultants and our designers and everyone that's helped us. You can't get here as one person. It takes a real team effort. And just meeting some wonderful people that so far love the Hedges. The feedback's been great with the overall design, the look, the amenities. People love the closets, which I personally, very thankful for, because I really spent a lot of time and money giving them nice closets, and got our big wine lockers delivered yesterday, and just finishing up some of those final inspections. I've taken that elevator up and down now, so it's nice and safe. You can go in it. Yeah, you can go in it. Bring your cell phone, All right. And we had a huge accomplishment. We actually got this utility pole taken down. I don't know if I maybe sent you a picture.
Yes.
From the driveway. So just a short story of perseverance. This pole is kind of was in the way of our new right turn into the shopping center. So you can see the utility pole lying on the ground, but it was obviously vertical and had Verizon lines and PSE&G and Altice. And I'm not kidding when I tell you we've been working on this for 2 years.
That's crazy.
And so when you think about development, and we'll talk about it today later with our host, you're our host, our guest, Ashton Clark. We'll talk about some of the unexpected challenges and things that come up. But this was just really a tremendous challenge to convince PSE&G, Verizon, Altice to take their wires off and go to a new pole, because it was literally in the way of our entrance. And looking back, I kind of scratched my head and say, if I were doing this again, right, what did I learn? I think we would have tried to figure out a way to go around the pole and not assume we were going to relocate the pole. Because anytime you're working with different agencies, right, they're not financially motivated like you are on the project. And so to kind of assume that they're going to move quickly would be false, right? And this was just such a battle. And I'm glad that we never gave up. We tried to leverage every contact, every relationship we have. But it still took too long. And I think in this instance, looking back, again, if I did it again, I think the important lesson is if you can design it in a different way, even though it may cost, 10% more, let's say, that time savings will probably add up financially and cover you. And so apologize to any residents that maybe had their internet taken down for 24 hours. Everyone's back up, I've heard, which is great. And now you can safely make a right turn in, because our residents are planning to move in next week.
So was this like an entrance or a driveway that was not there before, and you put one there, and then the pole was in the way? Like how this pole just miraculously get in the way?
So the driveway, the driveway was kind of there, but very small. And so the driveway obviously got expanded to accommodate kind of right in, right out. And we had to pay for a new traffic light. We had to redo the entrance, all striping. This was obviously a big deal, and the county's involved with the road. And it just so happened that when we kind of made this right turn lane, the pole was in that right turn part. So maybe the pole was fine for a small entrance this big for like an industrial building that has one entrance, but for residential where you're going to have left, right, center, it had to expand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you could argue, hey, the pole was not in the wrong spot. I'm not saying it was there wrong. It's just when we designed it, we probably should have said the pole's there. Let's assume it's not moving.
Let's move everything to the right.
Right, exactly. How can we shift around
Yeah.
it instead of the engineers kind of saying, all right, that pole will get moved. Let's do it this way.
Yeah.
Nobody thought to say, gosh, that could be a challenge and a lot of money and a lot of, So in the end, we got it done. You can safely traverse in and out. And it just took, sometimes these agencies, well, we know they don't move fast, but they also don't take you so seriously until like you really are right there, So good news is we're in good shape and just thrilled about the project. Thankful for the team. CubeSmart's leasing up as well. And of course, we have Planet Fitness open, doing well, and the new Pearly Cafe is going to be starting construction. So there's still one more space if you know anybody, right, Doug? Reach out.
I need a space, yeah.
Do we have an email address for the show?
Oh, yes, we do.
getupwithgarrett@gmail.com if you're looking to open up how about a sneaker store, Dougie?
Ooh, don't tempt me.
Me and you in the sneaker biz,
me.
baby.
Yeah.
Who's buying? Who's selling?
I'm definitely buying. I don't sell them.
Speaking of sneakers, did you see the new movie Air? Which
I want to see it. So like there's a lot of stuff I want to see.
Sure.
But like with
you have
the
a baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not using that excuse, but like I want to watch it and be focused on it rather than just having it on the background. Like so like I'm like 2 episodes back of Ted Lasso because I like to
I'm way back.
enjoy it.
I think I've only seen 2 of this season, so
it's good.
And I haven't even started Succession yet because I'm living it. So really there's no point of watching it, but I will catch up, I promise, this summer. So Jess and I sat down, we saw the new Air movie. For those of you that don't know, it chronicles a story of Sonny Vaccaro, who worked for Nike, who actually was the deal maker to get Michael Jordan to sign up with Nike. He actually really wanted to go to Adidas because Adidas was cool in his mind, and Converse was his backup. And it's kind of a one of these folk stories, and you've heard about it, and I've read about it from my background in sport business and sport management. So it was fun to see. Matt Damon was great. Viola Davis played Michael Jordan's mom, which is really the relationship between Matt Damon and Viola Davis. Michael Jordan is not in the movie. You see him from the back. He's not a character specifically. He has no face, no lines, which they did it that way because they really didn't want the story to be about him. Yeah. And how do you tell Michael Jordan?
Exactly.
I mean, you can't. So I thought really, really well done with those actors. Ben Affleck was ridiculous. He was horrible. I'm sorry. I know he's the director, but he just looked ridiculous. He sounded ridiculous. He played Phil Knight. And but for those that are sneakerheads and that love Michael Jordan, and maybe you grew up in the mid 90s with the Knicks teams that got destroyed, I think you'll enjoy the movie. And especially if you studied sport management or have friends at different teams like I do, or collect sneakers, you're gonna love it. There's a big moment that made me cry. It turns out somebody had a piece of the speech of Martin Luther King, the famous speech, "I Had a Dream," and that was kind of an inspiration for part of the pitch in this. So that was something I didn't know. That was pretty cool. Nice. So it's free. If your wife orders 1 million packages like mine, you probably have Amazon Prime, and it's free on Amazon Prime, and it'll just stream right to your TV. Right. The other thing I wanted to mention before we bring our guest in today is Tesla. I don't know if you've been following, but Tesla has had a lot of exciting news. Elon Musk announced that he has hired a female CEO of Twitter, and Linda, I apologize, I'm going to screw it up. I want to say Vaccarino, but don't quote me on that.
This is Linda.
This is Linda.
Linda's here.
And Linda comes. I'm sure somebody watching will tell me the right name, but Linda comes with a lot of advertising, big advertising experience. So that's where the revenue comes for Twitter. So I'm just excited for him to hand that over because he really needs to focus more on Tesla and SpaceX, where I'm a shareholder. And we're excited about what he's doing. And he also announced at Investor Day he's going to start advertising for Tesla. So Tesla does not do any advertising. It's all word of mouth. And I think this is really smart because Elon's message has always been, I put every dollar back into the car, right? So if I can save $500, I drop the price $500. But there are millions of people who aren't like Tesla loyalists like us and understand and where it's going that have no idea that Tesla's the safest car, that it's the best-selling car, that it can drive itself now. This most recent full self-driving release is just off the charts. People just don't realize where we're going and how fast this is happening. So there's a whole market of people, and Tesla is on the verge of launching a car that'll be between 25 and 35,000, which in my mind will really make a dent in the kind of the Toyota Corolla Camry world, Honda Accord world, Honda Civic world. I still think you're going to see some of the premium groups like Porsche, Mercedes, BMW with $100,000, $150,000 electric cars. They'll play nicely there. I think you'll see some Ford and GM trucks and vans. But you know what I'm really nervous about, and no one's talking about this? Ford and GM are losing billions of dollars on their electric vehicles. Tesla's making money on every car, but the other original companies are losing money. If you watch the Ford investor call, you'll see that not only are they losing money on the Mustang, the F-150 is barely out, or the Lightning.
They killed the Mustang, Garrett. I'm sorry, but I don't know what you call that, but that ain't no Mustang.
I don't know what.
It ain't no Mustang, bro.
It's not your daddy's Mustang. But, my question is, if they start slowing down on sales of traditional ICE, internal combustion engines, how are they going to have the money to make up the losses on the electrical side? Right? Again, Tesla's making money on every car they sell. Ford's losing money.
Yeah.
Well, if the market share starts shrinking on internal combustion engines, right, those profits are going to go away.
Yeah.
And how are those profits going to cover the losses
True.
on the slow growth of the electrical Mustang or F-150, right? I don't get that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am. Tesla was the first one on the market, first one doing it right. I'm sure these other companies that came in afterwards, they have to pay out patents and probably have to pay Tesla to do electric cars in some way, shape, or form.
Well, that could be a way that they go. I mean, there's a lot of the battery technology that's people are licensing different technologies, but Tesla's made their own chips, which is like when we had that big chip shortage during COVID, Tesla didn't, because they decided to make their own chips. So it's just the other interesting thing that has helped Tesla. Ford announced that they're going to start doing over-the-air software upgrades, and that's going to become a revenue stream. Kind of like, how Apple sells all the apps and services. Well, that's Tesla's big business model, saying Elon thinks the car is worth 2 to 3 times what you pay, because he's going to keep selling you updates, like making the airbag safer, better autopilot, things like that. And so those over-the-air software upgrades become a whole new revenue stream for Tesla. And then when the car starts to really drive itself and become a taxi, you and Tesla will share revenue on that car going out and picking up someone else's DoorDash.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty cool?
That's crazy.
So I'm sorry. I'm kind of going all, whatever that you call it, nerding out on Tesla, but man, I'm excited. The stock's starting to turn again.
Oh, yeah.
It's been all over the place. It's been a roller coaster, but long term, I think Tesla is a real great opportunity. So that's all I got about that. So let's bring in our host. I keep calling him our host. I'm ready
taking over the show.
Ready to give this guy my show. Listen, I got a friend that I got to introduce, great friend of the program, Ashton Clark, and Ashton is in the northern Michigan area, and he's come up with such a cool concept that I said, you got to come on the show. You got to share this with everybody, with the Get Up with Garret audience, because we're all about being transparent, being out there, sharing best practices, and helping you think about what you want to do in your life to live kind of a passive income strategy. So let's bring him in from the green room. What do you say? How are we doing, handsome? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Top of the morning, guys. Garrett and Doug, I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for getting up with Garrett. Appreciate you. So you're in northern Michigan right now, right?
Yeah, let me give the audience a little view real quick of a little sneak peek. That's what we got going on in northern Michigan right now. So we're getting ready for the kickoff for the Memorial weekend. So it's going to get busy up here soon. So
absolutely,
it's exciting, man.
The audience just told me that they are very jealous of you.
Hey, so you got to come check it out.
Yeah. Ashton's a buddy of mine from the Palm Beach area, from Florida. We enjoy a couple cocktails at the pool, talking a little biz, right? Yes, networking, like I always say, when you're on vacation, you want to keep growing your networks and keep that engine in your head going. And Ashton's got a pretty interesting story. He's a licensed real estate agent, right? Selling luxury homes in the northern Michigan area. But he's also been involved in different commercial real estate projects. on the storage side and rental properties, et cetera. So Ashton, you want to just tell us a little bit about, kind of how you got into the real estate business and, what was your dream or your goal and how that started there?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love to. Yeah. So, I guess where I first started out, I bought my first home at 16 years old, believe it or not. And that's kind of where I started to get involved with real estate itself. And just to kind of touch base on a quick story on that one. So I was 16 years old. And my way of communicating with people was reaching out on Craigslist at the time. Craigslist was kind of the hot spot of, finding, properties essentially. So what I would do is I'd message people because they don't know who they're dealing with on the other end of the, on the other side of the computer.
They don't know you're 16, right?
Exactly. So my main question that I would always ask people is, may I ask why you're selling? Because the main thing that you want to, figure out is how motivated they are to, get rid of the property essentially. So that was my main question that I always hit with, people with is, may I ask why you're selling? And I came across this lady actually, and she inherited the property after, answering my question from her mother. And at the time I only had $5,000 to my name, essentially. I'm only 16. I got $5,000 in my name. And she was asking for $15,000 for this property. It was a 2-bed, 1-bath, and it was a little over 650 square feet. So a small property. But anyways, I just said, hey, I said, all I have is $5,000 cash. I said, I can make this deal happen quick if you can agree. And she goes, absolutely not. Least I'll take is $10,000, et cetera. I said, well, that's all I got. I said, if anything changes, please let me know. Anyways, 2 weeks go by and I end up getting an email from her a little bit later saying, hey, is that deal still on the table? And I said, absolutely. So we made the deal happen right there. And then immediately, I think it was like, probably about a week after, me and my buddies, we rip over there. I didn't even have a car yet. My buddy just got his license. So we rip over there and we're ripping up carpet, walls. We're painting the walls, doing everything. And I'll never forget it. I'm painting these burgundy shutters. And anyways, this lady pulls up and she comes up to me and asks me, she's like, hey, is this place going to be for, lease and rent? And I said, absolutely. I said, it should be done within, probably about the next week or so. And she goes, okay, well, great. She goes, I'm interested. Is there any qualifications? And I said, well, do you have a job? And she goes, I do. And I said, well, what do you do? She goes, I'm an entertainer. She was a stripper. My first tenant was a stripper, but she paid out
family show.
Oh yeah. She lived there probably about 3-4 years, and she paid on time. So she was paying at the time about $550 a month. So I made my investment back within a year. Off of a $5,000 investment, she was paying $550 a month. And ever since then, what I have done after I put it through the rental, I decided to sell it on lease options. So that's another form of structure that I do, is selling properties on lease options, because you can generate a lot more cash flow and wealth putting these, properties on contracts. So anyways, that was kind of, my first investment property. And then ever since then, I've done over $150 million in real estate acquisitions. And,
wow,
the thing is that, I still do, the occasional flips, fix and flips. It's a great business, obviously, to get into. But, in regards to what I got going on now with these warehousing concepts. So this one that I got going on that I'll elaborate on here shortly. The first one that I got involved with, it was more basic storage warehousing units, because the way I came across this is a buddy of mine. His father had built warehouses back in, right before the 2008 crash, essentially.
Okay.
So the thing that I studied and I recognized is that, when everything hit the fan, essentially, these warehousing units still performed, because the thing is that even in a terrible economy or, not the greatest market, these warehousing units will still perform, because people have to have either downsize and they have to put their things somewhere, or if the economy is doing really well, people start buying toys, etc., whatever that may be, and they have to put their stuff somewhere. And especially up here in northern Michigan, or just in Michigan in general, in a climate that always changes, with the weather, we have to have places to put our things.
Protect your stuff, right?
Exactly. So, so I just kind of came across that, and I really studied on what my buddy's friend was doing, or my buddy's dad's friend was doing. And that's what, and he told me straight up, he goes, that's what got him through the 2008 recession, essentially, call it, from those tough years, around that time period. That's what got him through it, because people were still renting these things out. Sure, he was maybe not selling them for top dollar, but the thing is that they could still produce cash flow. And that's obviously the big thing that everybody needs to, really understand, that cash flow is king. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so I started to direct my attention more towards that market. And ever since then, man, I mean, the previous development that I did, it's not as high end as these ones that I got going on, but I built 14 very basic dry storage units, and immediately all of them rented out very fast, and there's just a demand for it. And the really nice thing about them too is that it's significantly less maintenance. If you think about it, compared to residential property, you got to deal with the tenant. They go in there and they rip up the carpet, the walls, all that stuff, and then you got to go back in there and fix it. Compared to the warehousing, very less maintenance, and it's still showing the same return, if not better. So in my opinion, the security and the upkeep of the property is significantly less compared to doing the residential side. So that's kind of why I'm starting to, and that's why I'm excited about this, just to continue this concept and process, to keep developing them. So
Ashton, let's just back up one sec. So on this first property, you bought it for $10K, which to me is like,
$5K.
Gosh, you bought it for you got it down for $5K.
$5K, yeah.
$5K. Holy shit,
yeah.
you got it for $5K. This is a Dougie deal. Okay,
yeah,
$5K.
What I want to know is how many parties happened before the dancer moved in.
Okay. Wow, but
how many cake parties were going on there before the dancer
this way,
moved
she
in?
paid in one.
She
paid in one. That's all I can say. Cash paid in ones.
That's how you met her. She was the dancer at the party, and then she's like, "This is a nice place. I want to move in."
And she paid in cash. But listen, I just can't. I want the audience to understand, though, it's not normal to make your money back in 1 year on a property like this. Like,
absolutely.
Typically you're going to make maybe a 10% return or 15% return. You'd be thrilled with making. To make a 50% return or 100% return is just lights out, right? That's not your typical thesis. So and plus the pricing you're talking about. I mean, in $5,000, that's a pair of sneakers, let alone a house.
That was in the downtime. I mean, that was still back in 2010, 2011 when I purchased that property. So
I mean, now
not the hottest market.
If you found a place that was $100K, right, you'd be lucky, right? You found a place for $100K here, you'd be lucky. And if they paid you, $1,000 a month in rent, that's $12,000. So that would be 12%. But of course, you have expenses, right? Taxes and maintenance, insurance. So maybe half of that goes to that. So maybe you make 6 to 8%. You'd be pretty satisfied with that.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So then you started getting into the warehousing and the storage. So before we get to the toy box and kind of the man cave that I've been teasing, you actually did regular. Would you call it self-storage, or would it be more like a kind of warehousing, industrial? Was it more for companies or more for individuals?
It was just for individuals, just dry storage space, not climate controlled, essentially, just open space. So they were 30 by 50 open units. Yeah, just big open space. 30 by 50? Yep, 30 by 50 units. So they're good size. And the nice thing about going that route, too, is that compared to doing, a lot of people I understand, they're doing those smaller units, the 10 by 20 units, the 20 by 20 units, etc. Well, what you run into with that, going by that size, is that now, let's say if they default or, they stop making payments, obviously you can take all their stuff, but sometimes it's a lot of shit. I'll be honest. It's just
let's be honest, it is.
And it's sometimes it's not the stuff that you want to, you got to clean it out, get it out of there to get it. So, but compared to the larger warehousing, they have probably more valuable property, such as larger vehicles, whether that may be cars, RVs,
Sure. Interesting. They're more likely.
That's more valuable that they're going to get out of there.
You have, a little bit of a better asset to kind of lean against because there's more value in the stuff that's in there.
Exactly. So if they needed to get out there, if they stop making payment, chances are they're going to get their stuff out of there where you don't have to deal with it essentially compared to.
So you built your first. Okay. So tell me about your first build. What was it, an acquisition or you built it ground up? The first one in the dry storage?
It was ground up. Yeah, that was ground up.
Yep. And how old were you at that point?
So that was about 3 years ago now. Yeah, about 3 years ago. So that was just from, pulling investors. So that's what I do. I'm a real estate investor. So, I pull people's money and then I do all the administrative work. And then I don't get, any of the, it's a 50-50 partnership straight down the middle. I do all the administrative work and then whatever we profit, that's what we split down the middle. So the investors,
50-50.
Exactly. They get their initial investment back and then, we split the 50-50 profits essentially.
Got it. So you're what we call a syndicator, which is something that I do as well. And so your basic program is, Doug, if somebody were to invest $100,000, right? He's going to do this project, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then you get your 100,000 back. And then you're going to split, if there's another 100,000 profit, 50,000 to you, 50,000 to him. That's his model. That's his deal, his structure.
I think he should get a lecture because he put the whole thing together.
And so that's a good this is a nice deal because it's a passive, you don't have to do anything, right? Which is what we talk about a lot, passive income. You really want to kind of augment and support your revenue stream. So it's great to get involved in deals that are passive. He takes on all the risks all the challenges. There's a problem in the middle of the night. You're not showing up. He's got to take care of it. And so, for that, he gets half the upside. Nice. Seems reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that first one was what? 15 units of dry storage, you're saying?
Yes, 15 units of dry storage. And then, so since I did that one, it performed, like I said, extremely well.
How did you get the financing on that? I mean, that other than the investors, did you actually get debt too, or did you raise it all in cash?
It was all in cash.
Oh, interesting. So that's different. A lot of people will go get a construction loan or some type of stabilized loan, which is not so easy to get if you don't have a big track record. So the alternative to that is if you can raise it all from your investors in cash, you don't have to worry about a bank. Right.
Exactly.
A whole other group.
I got a basic question.
Let's go.
I hope it's not too basic. I hope it's not too basic.
No. Make it.
So for some of our viewers, here's how I'll phrase this. We're doers here at Undefeated. We do stuff. So there's a problem, we tackle it. And I'm not saying that we had the level of skill of either of you and we could do what you guys do. But if someone wanted to get started and they feel like they're a doer and they could tackle these problems and they would want to start to figure out how to get from point A to point B, what would be some the first steps to doing what Ashton did, and like how would someone go about like becoming that person and finding these investors?
So Ashton, why don't you talk a little bit about how you started this deal, because it sounds like you hadn't done it before. I mean, you didn't own like 10 storage units, right? Your first foray into that was this development of the 15 units, right?
Correct. Yep. So
take us through those steps. Kind of how did you find the property, and then how did you put together, kind of the idea of getting investors? And because Doug, you're right. If you feel that you have the tool set with your hands, right, and can do some of these things you could make a lot more money, right, doing it yourself. But you could also lose everything pretty easily, right? Yeah. So let Ashton take us through that step. How did you go by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I first started off, like I'd mentioned in the past, I've done a lot of residential flips. So, I've pulled investors on that end and showing people, hey, I can make you money with these residential flips, which I have. So, and that's what you got to start off. You start off.
You got a little track record with those flips.
Exactly. You start off small, get people's trust and saying, hey, this is the type of return that I can make for you. You perform. And that's honestly, that's probably the advice that I would give to anybody, honestly, is once you can show somebody you can make them money, 155% more than likely they're going to reinvest with you again, because why wouldn't you, essentially? And the thing is that with real estate itself, and I truly believe this myself, is that it's a tangible asset compared to the stock market itself. You're investing in the stock market, and I'm not going to dog on the stock market, but there's no security. I like to call it, educated gambling in a sense, because really we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But the thing is that with real estate, at the end of the day, you can drive to it, feel it, touch it. It's tangible. And at the end of the day, sure, you might not be able to sell it for top dollar in a poor economy, but at least you can generate cash flow. And then eventually, time will tell, where the economy does come back at some certain point, and then that's when you sell. So, that's probably one of the biggest things that I would recommend to people is just, start smaller in regards to trying to get to this level, show people that you can make money for them. They're going to continue to reinvest. And then once you get enough backing, then you can take it to the next level.
That's great advice, Ashton. That's great advice. And Doug, I think you can look at that and say, right, how can you put that into your world, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe that means that you have a studio, right? And you now show an investor what the numbers look like on running a studio. And you go, look, now I'm going to go rent this industrial building and I'm going to build 4 studios. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to paint them myself. I'm going to build the desks. I'm going to buy all the cameras. And let me show you what these 4 can make based on what I've done for 2 years and somewhere else. Yeah. Right. Because the idea is no one will invest with you if you've not done any flips or you haven't done anything in real estate. Forget it. You're not going to be able to raise money. I want people to understand that, because I don't want people to think there's a false hope. Like, you cannot go raise money from outside investors if you've never done anything before in that world. They're going to laugh at you. You're going to waste your time. You could get sued. You could really, it's a big problem. You should not be taking other people's money if you've never done it yourself. Yeah. So, you got to start with kind of what you know. And so I think what Ashton mentioned is started, producing and having a track record with his residential flips. That gave the confidence and kind of that story to his investors. And he said, look, now I have another idea that I want to do. Here's what I've learned. Here's how I can add value to it. So the 15 that you did with the dry storage, you ended up renting them?
Yes,
or
those
did
are
you
just
condo it? Just
Yep,
rentals?
those are all just leased. Yep. So it's just
Okay,
producing
cool.
monthly cash flow. So
That's
and
just
that's what
passive.
people, yeah, it's just passive income. And and that's where I'm, I have a lot of different creative deals that I put together for shit, because everybody has a different preference on how they want to invest their money, essentially. So some people
Absolutely.
are looking for the quick flip, make a quick buck, or potentially, and I always recommend, is you should really invest your money into cash flowing properties long term, because it's just like I said, cash flow is king. And and there's a trash in my opinion. And possibly do.
We have a little bit of technical difficulties. I think it's with
I'd say
his Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let Ashton's Wi-Fi work itself out and see if he can get to maybe to a better Wi-Fi, or
Oh, he's back.
is he back?
Am I there? We're good?
There you go.
Okay. All right. I don't know what happened. I kind of like blacked out there for a second.
Yeah. No worries. But listen, I can surmise it. Cash flow is king, because no matter what, if you have a cash flowing asset, you're always going to have the opportunity for future investors to value that and to want to buy that, because people want to buy an income stream in addition to the bricks and mortar. And look, flipping a property is great. Making a whole boat of money is great in a couple of years. But a lot of things can go wrong, and the market timings can change. If your asset cash flows, you'll be able to ride that through up and down times. So, where our family has had the most success is where we've had consistent cash flow. And in some cases, that consistent cash flow has shown future buyers or investors that, yeah, they do want to pay a lot of money for that project, because the cash flow is extremely dependable. So let's get to the meat and bones of this, Dougie. I want to show off what Ashton's really working on, because this, to me, is sexy. It's exciting, and I'm real thrilled. When I saw this and Ashton showed me this, I almost fell off my pool chair at the Breakers. I was just so excited, man. I almost slipped and fell in that hot tub. So let's bring up a picture. So, Dougie, what do you got here?
Yeah.
Show me the beautiful, and I don't know where he put this thing on Bay Harbor in northern Michigan. What a view.
Yeah. Hey, that's it. We're giving it, whoever's watching this, you guys, that's an insider right there. That's a hidden gem in northern Michigan, as you can see.
I forget about the Ozarks. You're coming to northern Michigan. My God, look at that view. That is, that's Turks and Caicos. Look at that water, Doug.
It's fresh. Yeah. That's the kicker right there.
Blue.
That's fresh water right there.
You don't see that in the Hamptons, guys.
It's no Hudson River.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's kind of what I got going on right now.
10 units here. What is this?
Yeah, there's 10 units for this development, and these units, they're 35 by 60 units, so they're 2,100 square feet on the ground floor. And then above, what's nice is that I built out a loft area, and underneath it has a full bathroom, shower. Loft area has views of Lake Michigan from the balcony. It's got a full kitchenette, so it's kind of more. These are like man caves essentially, because there is a market up there for it. These aren't, these are a lot more with the bells and whistles, more luxurious, targeted, but there is a market for it up here. And
listen, I just want to apologize to all our female friends listening. This is a very sexist show today. It is the man cave, and I'm not calling it the woman cave. This is not the person cave.
It can go either way.
Man cave.
It can go either way, I guess.
And everyone's welcome to buy one, but we are calling it a man cave today. So, so you're northern. So what is this, like half an acre or quarter acre? What do you got here?
Yeah, it's an acre and a half. It's
acre and a half.
Right on an acre and a half. Yep.
And how did you come about buying this land? You had a realtor help you. Obviously you're a broker too. You heard about it off market. What was the story?
So I bought it on a contract, actually, and that's the best way in regards to people who are listening, is trying to purchase property, especially property, and it's a little bit more flexible. There's a little bit more flexibility in purchasing, but trying to purchase land on a lease option.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does that mean? Take us through that. That's kind of new for our audience. A lease option.
It's a lease option. So what you do, it's essentially it's pretty much a land contract, but really, so it's cut. Now in today's market, you can only do 5 land contracts, I believe, before you can get a real estate agent involved. So how to get around that essentially is it's called a lease option. So it's the option to buy. Okay, so there's an agreed upon price. So that parcel right there I bought for $147,500 on a contract. So what I did was I put 10% down. So now I got skin in the game, And the thing is that we have a balloon contract that I have to cash him out within 2 years. So I put 10% down up front. So now I got skin in the game. And then I have to pay him monthly payments. Half goes towards interest, the other goes towards principal for the next 2 years. And then I cash him out
for the balloon.
Essentially.
But you're saying this was written up as a lease. You started out basically as a lease with an option to purchase.
Exactly. But I still have the first right of refusal to purchase that property because I put that 10% up. So now so that secures me, and it gives me security that, hey, nobody can come on, out underneath me and try to buy it out underneath me.
Okay, so basically the monies that you put up, the 10%, and then these payments that you're making for interest and principal, all that is going towards the purchase price as well?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So you're not paying rent and towards the purchase. I mean, the rent is essentially, it's the same thing.
Yeah, there's a small, so the monthly payments that I make within the 2 year time frame, half of it goes towards interest. So there's a little bit of interest, but that buys me time where I don't have to come up with the full price.
Right, you're not coming up exactly. It's okay. And then the principal part is basically paying down on the 147. And so then when you get to closing, now you owe him a check for 110, let's say.
Exactly.
And he can't undercut you for those 2 years while you're working on it because you have the first right of refusal.
Exactly. Yep.
And so then did you then buy the property once you had secured the approvals, or maybe once you had started construction, or it gives you a little bit more time to catch your breath and put together the money a little bit more?
Exactly. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of breathing room, essentially, where you don't have to come up with it all up front, essentially. So that gives me time to get the engineering done, the excavators, all that in line. So when I start moving ground, then I can perform and pay him off, essentially, because you can't do anything. You have to pay them off first before you can start moving ground.
Of course, their property. So how long did that take? Did it take you 2 years to pay him off, or did you do it quicker?
It took me a little under. Honestly, it took me a little under, which is good sometimes. And sometimes if you can pay it off a little bit sooner, there's nothing wrong with that. So
no, of course. Okay, so you did that. You started the underground project. Doug, is there another video on this? I want to keep showing this. It's
absolutely.
It's really gorgeous.
Let's show this one. This is the one I think you want to show.
I don't know what I sent you guys. Oh yeah,
that's the indoor one.
Yeah, so that's one of the units. Yep, that's one of the finished units. And he's got to still do some organizing. He just kind of threw his things in there because it was coming towards the end of winter when he moved in there. Bathroom.
So take me through. I'm going to shut up. You take me through here.
Yeah, so what we got going, like I said, 2,100 square feet on the main floor. You got the utility sink. It's fully equipped with the radiant tube heating. And the reason why I did radiant tube, as you can see up on the ceiling, the reason why you do radiant tube heating is because it's a lot more efficient, one, with cost and compared to the blown-in air, and two, with the radiant tube heating, it heats the objects. So it's a lot more efficient in that way compared to doing the blown-in, heating air. So, as you can see, the layout still open, a lot of space. He's got a decent amount of toys in there, and what he's going to do too is he's going to bring a lift in there so you can have more space essentially on the ground floor.
Sure.
And then as you go upstairs, this is kind of the lounge hangout area. Have a couple cigars, some drinks, watch the game. He's got a big flat screen up there, as you can see. And there's still a lot.
Zeroed in right now.
Yep. So it's definitely it's a get away from home type deal. So
wow. So he's got 3 or 4 cars in there, a boat, right?
Yep.
And then he's got the little office loft up top. You do a little butler's pantry, wine fridge, hangout loft, right?
Exactly.
Doug, what do you think, man?
Very nice.
Is this a cool place to go watch football?
Cool. I could live there too.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ashton's zoning. I don't know if the zoning.
I mean, the housing is a little tough over here. It's either the hedges or that.
Listen,
around here.
I need to put a few of those in my next hedges. I mean, that is hot, man. I got to tell you, I love that, Ashton. I think that's a really interesting product. Something really unique. I mean, have you seen anything like that before, Dougie?
No, I've not.
And that's
I mean,
I appreciate it.
I've heard a lot about that. There's a big need for storage for people that legitimately have like a second car, maybe a Florida car, or they have a small jet ski or boat. But I think you've taken it one step further and kind of said, look, come on in, hang out, nice bathroom, nice office space, loft space. And I think you did a great job. Now, who helped you with this? Had you seen something like it from a design perspective? Did you have an architect or designer to help you with materials on the inside or the outside? Take us through that.
Yeah, so for the most part, to be transparent with you, I did look at a few different projects. that, I spun off of some
Sure.
ideas. And I think it was
Absolutely.
it was a development down in Florida, I believe I came across. But for the build out on the inside, that was all me in regards to, how I wanted it positioned, laid out essentially. But the design of the building, it's for the most part, it's pretty, it's like its own animal. I'll be honest. It's for the most part, it is its own style, but I spun off a couple things from other developments, but for the most part, it's kind of its own thing. So
I think it's great, man. Look, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, I didn't come up with the idea of having a luxury apartment building, right? With hedges. I mean, now maybe we've added some things like having a little salon in there is kind of unique, but I'm not the first person to have an elevator, or a roof deck. I mean, so I think you always adapt. You're always growing. You're always enhancing to add value. So how long did it take you to get these built? Once you started, let's say this, after you finished the site work, right? I know you had to do excavation, whatever. When you finished the site work and you started the framing, these are wood framed, I think I saw them.
Yeah, they're wood frame. Yep, they are wood frame.
So how long did it take you from start to finish?
So I have not completed them fully yet. They're going to be completed by this year on October 31st. That's the projected date that I'm shooting for, hopefully sooner. Okay. I'm going to be getting the asphalt laid actually next week. So that's going to be the big kicker right there to really set off these buildings, is getting the asphalt laid. And, like I said, Memorial Day is here. So, there's a lot more traffic flow coming up here. So, in regards to the occupancy out of all the units right now that are so there's two phases. One phase has 5 units. The other phase has the other 5. So the first phase is pretty much fully complete. And out of the first phase, they're all occupied.
Okay. So have you sold these, or are you renting these?
I'm selling these ones for this project.
So they're like condos.
Exactly. They're kind of minimized warehousing condos, essentially.
Dougie, do you have another video? Is there an exterior video, I think?
Yeah, I think I sent you this morning. I sent you one that should be current.
Let's take a look at that real quick so you can kind of see the phase 1 versus phase 2 approach, which, by the way, is a smart way to do it. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because some of these things take time to build and then sell. It's good to take money out of the first phase and then use it for the second. Okay, so there you go. And they have nice little balconies or lanais.
Yep. So that's the second phase on the right side. So,
okay, so the first 5 you sold, and whatever you're comfortable sharing. I mean, I think you were selling these around $400K. Was that what I read?
So $395 currently, and then once I get that asphalt laid, I'm going to increase the price to $425.
Okay.
And like I said, I mean, I know it's a warehousing concept, but at the end there is, obviously you got to know your market of, where you're building these things, but there is a market for that, type of clientele that would, have a need for these type of style warehousing.
Yeah. So it's about $190 a foot, 400K divided by 2,100. And when the price goes up, so it's going to be about $200 a foot.
How much is it if you were to have a house that was right that close to the water? Millions of dollars.
Exactly.
So it's interesting. I don't know what the zoning is on that land. Did you have to get the land rezoned, or was it zoned for this?
So it's zoned commercial. I did have to get it rezoned because it was I'm sorry, no. I'm thinking of another one. So this was just zoned commercial, but it is not residential. So realistically, could somebody fully live in these things? No. But if you're gonna, have a few drinks, you stay there for a few nights, or if you have overflow guests, whatever they may be, you're not gonna have issues essentially. But it's not zoned for a full-on living quarters essentially.
And that's my point. So like you're right across the location is key, right? So if you're someone who's not looking to drop, $2 million, have land right next to the water, you can have all your toys in this spot and get the hotel whenever you're there.
So that's pretty cool. You're saying you could move a mile or two inland, right? Save a lot of money on your home, but then use this as like a place for all the toys. Yeah. So you kind of get the living on the lake lifestyle a little bit, because it's convenient, it's close, but yet you're not spending $5 million on this crazy lake house.
Yeah, let's say this is in a vacation area, right, for you. So like all your stuff is there. Yeah. You don't have to have a home that you have to take care of. And then when you do want to go and experience life in that vacation spot, you just get a hotel room in the area.
Sure, get a hotel room. And then I can't believe how cheap you got the land too. I mean, $150K for an acre facing the water anywhere in the country. Facing the water should be more than that.
I'm telling you, man, the market up here. Like I said, it's a hidden gem up here. That's why a lot of people just don't know about it.
I mean, they're not building any more land on the water, by the way, in case you haven't realized, people. That's like the most, throughout hot time, the best investment.
For sure.
So that's pretty cool. So what would you say you're comfortable saying? I mean, Are you looking to double your money here? Like, are you in for 200 grand a unit and you sell it for 400? Is that kind of where you are, ballpark?
So what it is, so put it this way, is that per unit, an investment. So if somebody's interested in investing into a property like this, so with my investors, it was a $250,000 wholesale investment per unit. Okay, so that's at 2.5 million right there for 10 units essentially. And then there's obviously other costs. So put it at $3 million overall for this whole project. Okay. And then we're going to sell them. Put it this way, they're going to make minimal 15% on their money. That's what I'm offering to my investors, is minimal 15% backed with real property. And worst case scenario, like I said, let's say if all goes to hell in a handbasket and they, the economy takes, a dump tomorrow and, it goes south. Worst case scenario, even if we can't sell these things for the asking price that we're asking for,
you can rent them.
I promise you we can rent these things out and generate cash flow no matter what.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Sure. So
no, that's no issue. And that's why
you can rent these things out for $2,000 a month all day. Maybe a little bit more.
We're renting private garages at the Hedges in Hawthorne. And I think don't quote me on this because the rates change in different times of the year, but let's just say it's about $500 a month for just a 10 by 25 garage where you drive in from the outside. So I have no doubt that there's a huge rental market for what you're talking about. As far as the condo market, I think you've got to pick your spots. I would not be doing this in every single market in America. This has to be an area where there's definitely some money. There's a luxury feel. There's this kind of convenience where people are willing to pay a premium for that. And you're not going to build 100. Okay. He built 10. So selling 10 is a big difference than selling 100. And so it sounds like Ashton's in the deal. You're in the deal for like $3 million and your sellout is going to be somewhere between 4 million to 4.25, right? Kind of that range.
Yep.
So there's $1 million to $1.25 million profit there, over what, a two-year run here from start to finish, 2.5-year run, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, if 15% annual, again, think about what you're getting from a stock, from a bond. You're probably, that's not backed by real property. Tesla's not paying you 15%. If you invest 100 grand in Tesla right now, you're not getting 15 grand a year from Elon. You're kind of hoping it's going to go to triple, whatever, but you're not getting anything. So real property always is, like Ashton said, you can touch it, you can visit it, you can kick the tires, right? You can literally see someone park their beautiful Porsche 911 in there. Definitely caught my eye. Couldn't miss that one. So I think it's a cool concept. I've always been talking. I mean, my Uncle Paul and I have always talked about the need for like a luxury car storage in Bergen County, New Jersey. And there's a building on Route 17 for sale. It was like an old retro fitness up by Upper Saddle River. I pulled in there one day to kind of see, could I pull off what Ashton has designed here? Because I think it's cool. And I would take it a step further, man. This is like where you're going to have your fantasy football draft. You're going to hang out with your guys. You're going to watch the Super Bowl here. Maybe you put a little golf simulator in there.
There we go. I like where your head's at.
Yeah, man. I think it's neat. I really think it's neat. I think you picked great materials. It's very chic. At $400K, it's not $10 million. Like it's, I know $400K is a lot of money for everyone in terms of their day-to-day spending, but for 2,100 square feet, that's not obnoxious, to be honest. It's really not. And so you get a little private space, and I'm proud of you, man. I'm excited for you. I think it's really cool.
No, I appreciate it, man. And hey, well, I got another one after this one. I'm already working on it with another city. Not as high end as this one, but I'm going to target more basic storage, but they're going to be climate controlled, because that's the biggest thing that people really do want, especially up here, essentially in this type of market with the weather changing, for the wintertime and stuff, is having a climate controlled unit is a key thing. And there's a shortage of that, especially with the size of the warehouses that I'm targeting essentially. So that's going to be the next one. But my next project that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be building 52 units I got approved for, and they're going to be 30 by 50 units. And those ones I'm just going to target doing completely rentals. And the thing is that the big payout for that, is once I get those all leased out, you ride the gravy train of the cash flow, residual income type situation, and you do it for however many years. Right. And then what you do is you package it whenever, you're ready to sell, and you sell it to a private equity company. And private equity, I mean, they reach out to me all the time in regards to, certain projects, and with the warehousing, especially because they understand the security and it's going to perform on the residual income.
The cash flow, right?
Exactly. So you can package that. If it's generating, good cash flow, they're all about that. They're going to throw money at you. So that's
so
what
it sounds like So if you can get it to scale, because the private equity is not going to buy a little 10 unit. No offense. I mean, that's just too small, right? It's got to have some scale. So it sounds like a company like that would be valuing it more on the cash flow and probably would pay a higher price than an individual person as a condo.
Absolutely.
Which the condo method's good for when you're doing it in a smaller project. It's just, oh, Johnny needs one, Paulie, Dougie needs one, Pat needs one. I think it's pretty cool. So if people want to get in touch with you, can they reach out to you to learn more about investing in these types of projects?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I know you have Instagram, right?
Yep, you can my link right there, Pure Mish Living. You can, contact me directly. My number is 810-449-8155. Please feel free to
I got to hook you up. I got to hook you up with Adam Pagoda, who was on our show. If you go through our YouTube, you'll see a great interview with Adam Pagoda from the Pagoda companies. The family's developed and owns a lot of self-storage, and they're from Michigan. I think they're from Detroit.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so you got to meet these guys. They're big ballers. They're big players in the industry, and I'm sure Adam will be thrilled to talk with you and just pick your brain. And you guys share best practices. You can learn a lot from him. He's second generation. His dad Abe has built a great company. I think it's great, man. Keep it up. Keep innovating. This is kind of a different, unique take on it. It in essence, it is self-storage. It's warehousing, but it's a new kind of putting the toy box, the Mancave label on it. Some cool design. And if this was in Bergen County, I think you'd have a couple buyers right here in this room. To be honest with you, absolutely. Cool, man. So before we get you out of here, we just want to put you in the Get Up with Garret lightning round. We want to ask you just a couple quick, fun, light questions.
Okay.
Don't put too much stress on it. Just the first couple things that come to your head. Throw them out there, okay?
All right, let's hear it. I'm ready. All right,
my man. You ready? Let's start the ticking. I don't hear the ticking. There it is.
All
right. So one of the places that I've not been able to visit yet in my world travel is outer space, and I really want to go. And if you and I are going to go together, Ashton, who's going to take us? Do you trust Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Richard Branson?
Elon Musk. That's my guy.
Oh, all right.
Elon Musk all day. That's my guy.
We're doing it. Nice. Not sure if you're a fan of the show Ted Lasso, but I was curious, your first concert, best concert?
First concert was Kid Cudi concert, actually, interestingly enough. And then my last concert was Kid Rock.
Nice. What's a business book? It could be real estate, could be business, whatever, that either you're reading now or you recommend a great book for up and coming entrepreneurs.
For sure. Grant Cardone, if you're not first, you're last.
If you're not first, you're last. Wow. Awesome. And I guess we'll follow up with one other question. What would be your favorite toy for you to store in one of these man cave chalets here?
I like a Chris Craft, an old wooden boat Chris Craft. That's the stuff right there.
Old school Chris Craft.
Chris Craft. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Damn.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Ashton Clark. Great job, buddy. Surviving to Get Up with Garret lightning round.
I appreciate it.
Listen, we always try to introduce our audience to up and coming, real estate investors, entrepreneurs that are here, that are open, that are transparent, that are willing to share their advice and just obviously invest wisely. Always talk to your tax accountants, your lawyers, to make sure you understand when you're getting involved with real estate investments. Okay, we're not pitching or selling any specific investors here with the show. We're just introducing you to people that have experience in that neighborhood. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to Ashton. We talked about Pure Mish Living is his Instagram, and he also works, I think, for Christie's International, major real estate company. So you can reach out and pick his brain, I guess, on the Michigan market too, on the housing market, right?
Absolutely. We got to get you up here, man. Let me know.
Listen, I'm taking out that guy's jet ski. Let's go. All right, Doug, you have anything else for us?
No, it was great episode. We got to go visit and go hang on the
let's make it happen.
Listen, everybody have a safe, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And just remember, the more you give, the more you get. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Dougie, let me out of here.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.